Anyway, okay, so Stephen writes in. He says, I am currently working through Leviticus. It's a tough book. And I'm really struggling with, hang on just a sec. Okay, maybe that'll be better. I am really struggling with using a consistent hermeneutic to apply to Leviticus 19 and becoming Torah obedient, specifically as it applies to improper mixing. Have you ever addressed this in any Messiah Matters episodes? Now, he's going to give two different things. We have addressed several times the idea of not mixing of certain fabrics. And ultimately, if you let Scripture interpret Scripture, then really what you're not allowed to mix is linen and wool. And linen and wool, if you find garments that mix linen and wool, which is very difficult to find. In fact, I think you actually have to pretty much go searching for it. But I would say this. I personally do not have any clothes in my wardrobe that has linen and wool mixed. Not one garment that has linen and wool mixed. And I will also tell you this. If I pick up a piece of clothing and it doesn't feel like a normal cotton garment, I always look to see what's in it. I genuinely look to see if linen and wool is in it, even though I know that 99.99% of the time, that's not even an option.
It won't be, yeah.
So with that said, we're going to leave that off to the side. So he says, have you ever addressed not shaving the sideburns? And we'll get to the specific verse that he's talking about here in a few seconds. But let's read the rest of his his email. Okay, I have heard so many contrary opinions coming from leaders within the Messianic community. Actually, Caleb in the chat room, it's not whatever pronoun it may be. I said, or pronomian. Pronomian. This goes back to a different conversation that we had last week and a video that I made for Growing in Messiah. Anyway, go to Growing in Messiah. You can watch my video on pronomian Christianity. Okay, so back to Stephen's email. I have heard so many contrary opinions from leaders within the Messianic community. How do we consistently submit to the Torah's commands to observe the feast days, the seventh-day Sabbath, the kosher laws, which I wholeheartedly agree with, and then turn around and say tzitzit doesn't have to be worn today or a kippah? Okay, hold on right there. Now you're mixing two things.
You're mixing, but no, get it? Mixing.
Yeah, tzitzit is a Torah command. A kippah is not. There's nowhere in the a kippah is a later rabbinical invention. And so the idea that that people would say you don't have to wear a kippah, well, that's because it's not in Torah. Tzitzit, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that there are leaders out there who say you don't have to wear tzitzit today, but I am not one of them. I think that the tzitzit are a command. I think that they are a good command. I think that they are, I mean, the idea of a what would Jesus do bracelet was kind of like, God already made that. It's called tzitzit.
Well, what would Jesus do? It's already called the Torah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I wear tzitzit every single day, and I'm not sure.
That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that. Sorry.
What?
That was a big crazy thing. What would Jesus do? Right.
Right.
But why do you have young Christians asking that question? It's because they don't, that what they think, what I think they mean by it is like, oh, I'm going to live my life. And then when I get to a situation that I'm not sure what to do, I'm just going to like imagine my Sunday school Jesus.
I'm going to look at my bracelet and remember, oh yeah, what would Jesus do in this situation?
Jesus. And then I imagine like my Sunday school Jesus.
Yeah.
And then I
on
think,
the felt board. Wait, on the felt board. On the felt board, right?
Right. But when in fact, which is, I never thought of it that way, that when in fact, the question means they probably aren't studying the Torah. I don't know. I just had that.
Yeah. Well, but the church that I co-pastor, we're trying to get into a new building, and the pastor of the church that we're trying to rent from, we were walking into the building so he could give us a tour. And we were opening the door. I was opening the door, and he pulled my jacket aside because he thought I had something on me, but it was my tzitzit. And he looked at my tzitzit.
Like, yeah, you've got some threads hanging out from your shirt.
Exactly. And And he just kind of looked at me real puzzled like, and I said, do you know what that is? And he said, no, what is that? I said, well, it's our commanded in Numbers 15:37. And he said, oh. I said, I actually think that this is a great way to witness to people as well. Not only does it remind us of the commandments, but it's a great way to witness to people. He said, oh, why is that? I said, well, because the commandments, we're commanded to put a thread of blue into the tzitzit. And blue is the color of royalty. It represents Yeshua. And Yeshua is, you can't keep the commandments without Yeshua.